Hello, greetings, salutations. I'm Giovanni Martinez, and my topic for the class, I've decided, it took me quite some time to think about it, but in the end, I decided to focus something that I've personally been mentored to, training, and also one thing I specifically see as a common issue that evolves and also is still present in most police law enforcement agencies. So I decided to choose with de-escalation tactics. So to start off, reason I chose this is like I said before, I've had experience with Core Civic, well, used to be No Corrections Corporation of America, and worked there for 15 years. And during the last 5 years, I was a negotiator and also de-escalation slash communication instructor. So I would constantly give these classes to the correctional officers on a yearly, monthly, and sometimes daily basis. Also refreshers and everything, also for new recruits, and it was very knowledgeable. Very, I loved doing it. Also, the training that they sent us to National Tennessee was a very high, enlightening experience. They did break us emotionally. It was very. It was fun, but at the same time, it was very mentally challenging in so many ways. Because this training attacked your weaknesses to strengthen them, and that was one thing the instructors really embedded in our psyche since day one as we got there. So, a little bit about some of you probably like, okay, what is de-escalation? So, what is de-escalation? So, de-escalation is tactics where the spirit of it is more put in more talk down than take down. De-escalation and communication means where you're talking, you're using your communication skills to de-escalate the situation. So if you have an unruly person, you know what? Okay, how you doing? Okay, why don't we sit down? Why don't we talk about it? Why don't you tell me what's the problem? And I'll go a little bit more on some of the tactics we use in a bit. So, but pretty much the main spirit of de-escalation is communication. That is the one important aspect of it. When you're dealing with communication, when you're talking to someone that you are stopping, arresting, or in my case, where it was in corrections, where they're asking what seems to be the problem, you want your communications to be clear, direct, short, simple, and minimal. You don't want to give them something of a long sentence that has about five options. You don't want to complicate it that right, especially if the person's already emotionally unstable or is emotionally frustrated, agitated, or mentally challenged in some way. So, and short and simple. So, and some of these trainings, when we do in de-escalation, consists of little things that people only hear what they want to hear. And one, as an instructor, one thing I would do, especially in the class full of males and females, I was like, okay, ladies, why don't you help me out? If I were to send a text message to my wife and say, I've been in a terrible accident at work, and Stacy's going to take me to the hospital. And I would ask the ladies, okay, what do you think my wife's first response is going to be? Everybody would say the same thing. Who's Stacy? So, I mean, I would try to make it humorous, fun as well too, and also I would throw it to the guys too. Guys, if your wife tells you the same thing, tells you Armando or Arnold is taking you to the clinic, you would react the same way too. Sometimes we just hear what we want to hear. We don't really pay attention. Now, these as just giving you an example of how these de-escalation classes work. We pretty much go through the process, the training and everything, little things, little situations, kind of putting them into perspective and not only taking an us versus them, but let's put ourselves in their shoes. Let's think of it from a different angle, from a different perspective. So it was real good, and usually at the end, all these trainings have real life scenarios that the instructor plays out, where the instructor is playing like, oh, like as an agitated crying cellmate. And of course, officers will come in. What seems to be the problem? And the point is to have them thinking other options. Okay, you say your husband, your ex-boyfriend wants to get custody of your children, and to have them think, okay, well, who are the children are they with now? And they start, oh, well, they're with my mom. Look, does your mom have legal custody? Yes, she does, and you don't have to worry about it. Is that the father of their kids? No, it isn't. And like you know what? He's just saying it just to agitate, just to get to you. You know, why don't you make me an incident statement, something like that, so that way I can contact him, let him know if he's going to be calling and harassing you. I will call the outside authorities to go and talk to him and make a report about this. The point is to have him think. You know what? And even though we come up later saying, well, I don't have no money, I don't have a lawyer. You know what? There's free organizations. There's things. There's child protective services. You know, there's millions. Just because these services are in the outside doesn't mean they can also apply to inmates as well too, or prisoners. So the point is to think of other options, to other scenarios as well too. Now, what I'd like to do as an instructor was that I not only had the younger generation, but I was also purposely get the older generation. I would talk to them the day before, let them know what I expect from them, what I want them to show, what I want them to see, that let them know that, hey, the times were different then, but we found a better way. And that's what I did. And of course, I never had an incident with the older. They were more than happy to show, the expertise, experience, and trust me, as it actually, made them bond better, and also created more positive relationships among the younger and older officers as well too from the facility. So I loved it greatly. So what is the de-escalation? So, definition is tactics used for communication skills in order to de-escalate an agitated situation or incident. So, the spirit of de-escalation is, which I mentioned before, is talk down versus take down. Now, there's are going to be situations where you can be the best salesman, talker, sweet talker in the world, and you know what? It's just not going to help. And sometimes, you know what, when it comes to that, the nature of it, even in the training of de-escalation, is you will use the minimum amount of force necessary to control the situation. And we have to take a lot of factors, because at the same time, we have second decisions to make. You have a fraction of a second. You need to know, okay, we're going to take him. He's being physical. Oh, now, however, is he a 50-year-old, 60 or 70-year-old? You need to take that into consideration. Is he handicapped? Is he mentally, does he seem, is there signs, something? Now, this type of knowledge is something where older generation experienced officers know, and they've known from trial and error, from experience, from knowledge from other officers as well, too, situations they've experienced and seen, or in worst case scenario, cause and effect. I made this mistake. You know what? I learned from it. But at the same time, this is not the type of information that the younger generation will know. It's something we have to teach them as well too, and I'll get back to that later. How is it employed? So I just mentioned some, where we come in, which in a little bit I'm going to explain about the type of tactics that de-escalation involves in. But this type of de-escalation techniques are not only given in police academies. Believe it or not, also nursing homes and also mental wards and in corrections as well too. It's also being implemented. So, and they usually use it on patients who are agitated, really rude, aggressive physically, and so on and so on. So, and article I'd like to mention that I read is a systematic social observation study of police de-escalation tactics, written by Natalie Tudak and Lewis James, and a very, very, very interesting article that I found, and pretty much fell in line with everything I was taught and given as well too. However, in this case, they studied the police citizen interactions during the fall of 2016. So they analyzed 131 situations. So, and some of the tactics that I was taught was also mentioned here as well, and some of the tactics used is respect. When going up to somebody, the police officer has to give that respectful manner. Good morning, how you doing? Yes, ma'am, how can I help you? Okay, why don't you come down a bit? Or like, let's step to a side, that type of demeanor of respect that you get from the person as well too. And believe it or not, but salesmen also use these tactics as well too. So next one in line is remain calm. You're not going to be angry with a mean face and yelling and bringing up, no. You will be mine. Hello, how you doing? How you doing? How's it going? Handshake, as my mom always says, the hellos are, from God. It's humble. It shows character. It shows, your spiritual outcome of how you are, welcoming, humble. Hello, how you doing? That handshake, believe it or not, I have de-escalated so many, near aggressive incidents in the correctional just by the two words that Captain Raimundo Reyes taught me. The two most powerful words in this world: please and thank you. And trust me, that handshake, this handshake right here, has de-escalated so even a stabbing one time. So which I will get to it in the near future. So next one is honesty. You always want to be honest. You never want to come up with something, lie about it, that's gonna have the person make you think, hey, I can't trust this person. He's not being honest with me. So another one is shoes. And what I mean by shoes, and put yourself in the other person's shoes. Now, this gives you an understanding, a sympathetic view, where the person's telling you the story, they know where they're coming from. So at the same time, where we do silence. Now, you don't want to be silent, where you do the silent treatment in a positive way, in the sense where you just be quiet, let the speaker have the floor. Let them talk, let them explain everything. Nod your head, showing physical. Yes, ask questions, open-ended. Okay, so you mean this, you mean that? Okay, so, and that's where it comes down to. So, compromise. I would appreciate it if you can please lower your voice down and stop using curse language. I won't have to look. If you promise to do that, we can promise to solve your situation. That way, I won't have to cite you, for obscenity use, or using obscene language or abusive language. I'd appreciate. Can you help me with that? Thank you very much. Okay, well, let's see. That's where they mean compromise. The compromise where police officers say that, hey, you know what? If you could please calm it down a bit, I won't have to, write you up for this. Hey, if you could please pick up that trash you threw on the floor, I won't have to cite you, for littering. So compromise. Listen. That's something that sometimes we don't pay attention to, that we don't listen correctly. Were we there? We listen. And sometimes you have people, what I like to call interceptors, where they come and intercept the conversation, they cut you off, and it's like, oh, well, this is, no. Just let the speaker have the floor. Just listen. You'll be surprised just by listening how much you might find out. You might find out more just by giving them the floor and finding out without even asking questions. So. And the human tactic. You want to be human, And I remember my dad used to would pass by the mall, and I would see all the, the Marines and the Army and the offices of the military branch services, and I would see they would have the pictures up there, and the guys, instead of being there proud, that they made it to basic training, sometimes you would see them with inhuman face, they didn't even look human at all. So it's like that's a type of programming we need to be careful with, when it comes to training recruits, in the police academy. So empower. Now that doesn't mean like, okay, we're going to empower the person we're talking to. It means that we're going to give the person we're talking to, we're going to give them that power to make the decision. Okay, if you do this, if you calm down, then you can help me out and do this. But at the same time, if you can help me out with, sitting down, let's not make a scene and everything. We can find. I can possibly talk to the manager, and maybe he can help you out. If you can show me this, because I don't want you to create more, because you're creating a public disturbance, and I don't want you to get cited or arrested because of that. Because at the same time, what I'm doing, I'm calming the situation down. I'm offering an option. I'm giving them a choice. At the same time, I'm teaching them a little bit of legal advice they may not know, because some people really may not know when it comes to public disturbance, public disturbance law, depending on what state, your city or county they may reside in. So, and all of this in general, all these 7 things come together to avoid what? The cop talk. It's to avoid the cop talk. We're coming out and like, well, what section? You don't want to come out like Dragnet from, well, on December 16 of 2005. And I said, at 1400 hours. And I said, Officer Giovanni Martinez said, when to approach it. Excuse me, ma'am. I said, do you know what the penalty is for something? You don't want to come up like that. You want the human factor. You don't want to, like my mom says, you have a bachelor's degree. You don't make people feel, humble, welcome. You don't show your intelligence by trying to talk, making words, or trying to come out more, like overpowering someone. You want to lower yourself down to their level, make them feel. That's where the true emotional intelligence and the real sophistication of your bachelor's, or where you come from, really shows. And that's, as a law enforcement agent, that's where the spirit of it is our communication. So, and we talked a little bit about how the de-escalation program works and everything, just to give you a simple background for those that are not too kind of familiar with it. So, And I do find in the years of me going to different branches and teaching and everything, and also here in Laredo, Texas as well too, I do find that I do see a lot of officers kind of take a little bit things a little bit too aggressive in situations where they didn't have to, and in some cases where I feel that they should have been a little bit more aggressive in a sense where in situations that they needed to be. Now, I really don't know what the stats are or how does it, what the situation entailed and everything. But sometimes, that's where the power of discretion comes in the rise. But at the same time, I tend to notice that sometimes situations tend to escalate or de-escalate depending on how many people one officer is dealing with, one or more, or in some cases where it's just two and it's one officer, two and just one officer, and then all of a sudden more backup arrives and everything. So, but at the same time, it's always a rule of two. If you're dealing with one person, you always want to have one more just in case, for legal purposes, in case things completely go south. So, but at the same time, so we want to take this. We want to have recruits come with this mentality of being that what we have a job to do. That professional aspect that comes in, which I talk about a lot in some of my discussions, is that it's not okay where I'm concerned more with my needs than the public, or I'm concerned more with the public than my own. Is that they equally have to be the same as well too. So my professionalism, my job, my service, my spirit of what my job and what the oath that I take entails that I need to do. So from reading from the article, also from doing personal research as well too, and also from my trainings that I've done in various correctional facilities, I noticed that de-escalation technique already exists even here in Laredo, Texas as well too, and the sheriff department as well too. So how we can how we can decide how we can do it, how we can better. Well, Mr. Martinez, if it already exists, then why is it even an issue? So, but at the same time, maybe we're not doing it correctly, or maybe we're not doing it enough. From the article study, it found out that older, more experienced officers were significantly more likely to employ successful de-escalation, likely indicative of their honed skills from repeated practice on the street, as we believe that enhancing police use of de-escalation could serve to decrease the prevalence of violence between police and citizens in the United States and take to repair public trust in police. Meaning right here what they're telling us that the older generation, the older senior officers, because of their experience and their knowledge, wisdom, emotional intelligence, they do employ but better techniques. So this is right here where I do recommend that we have a cross training of from the senior officers to the new officers coming in, where at the same time we kind of don't have them too much as a militaristic output, but also, hey, we're human. Hey, there's a better way. And as one person once told me not too long ago in a discussion, is that, hey, this is the way we did it. It was the wrong way, but there's a better way to do it, and this is it. So I do feel that cross training between the seniors and the younger generation, the new generation of officers coming in, would definitely implement and also benefit to so much, to their de-escalation tactics and everything. So, and also another thing that I do recommend is that to extend the training period. I mean, my training alone that I would do would consist of one day, of course, 8 hours. So, and it was very valuable information. And trust me, I had a lot of people come up to me, tell me, Captain Martinez, man, you have no idea what your training has done. I mean, it's helped me so much here, and my incident, rate has my incident writing and rate and situations have gone down so much because of this training. But also, you know what it did? It saved my marriage. It helped me so much, and I'm starting to see things. Me and the wife are going to getting counseling and everything. But it was your training that realized that what, we do have a problem. We're attacking each other so much that unconsciously we didn't know until one day I just sit down, let me talk to you, and I employed your listening skills, the silent treatment, just to listen and and I asked questions and everything, and I noticed, what, we're doing something wrong, and trust me, I mean, if that was just through their marriages or personal life, I mean, like, wow, their careers were just amazing. So but I do feel that 8 hours in one day is not enough. I do think that it should be extended to 2, even more, especially if we're going to have older generation, older senior officers, experienced officers, seasonal correctional officers come in and show the others, hey, this is the way to do it. This is the way. We would have one scenario where in corrections, which is PREA, the Prison Rape and Elimination Act that was enacted when George Bush was president. So, and it's a very, very, very big thing, when it comes to correctional prison work, or, when you have incidents like that. So we would have it where we would have the younger ones try have a one where the prisoner, I don't want to go. I don't want to go back to, you can send me to the cold. You can send me, to segregation. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And the actor was just repeating it, repeating it, repeating it. And the purpose of it, and I've actually had that scenario extend almost like 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, until finally I picked on one of the older generation officers, and Mr. Idregas, Juan Idregas. I'm very proud of him, still am to this day. He just gets up, goes up, excuse me, what's going on? I don't want to go. Let's go. Let's walk outside. Let's go away. Takes him away from the scene, away from the perpetrator's eyes and everything. Okay, what's going on? And then right there he's talking to him. Okay, I'm going to ask you some questions. Can you trust me? No, yes, officer, I trust you. Okay, look, is something bad happened to you? And the actor would, yes. I was like, is somebody doing something to you? Yes. Is someone touching you where they're not supposed to? Yeah. Is somebody sexually touching you, abusing you, or raping you in any way? Look, yes, sir. Okay. Okay. Automatically, that's where the scenario would end. The point of asking, and some people don't have that. They have that fear of not asking. They want them to ask. And sometimes us, is someone doing something wrong? Just like we may have to be with our children or with family members sometimes who would be victims of sexual abuse of any kind. So these were these de-escalation techniques come in and everything. So pretty much not only for the 8 hours and more, 2 days, or maybe even a week if it's possible. So I do recommend for police academies to implement a little bit more of de-escalation techniques as well too, but also to have refresh courses at least once a year, so that way we can go up and pick up the banner of this. So from the study that I read, and also from incidents that I personally observed from my facility, when we implemented the de-escalation techniques or incidents, our incident level when it came to interactions with prisoners pretty much went down almost close to 40 to 50%. And it was mostly just the communication aspect of it. So, I mean, we train so hard when it comes to pepper spraying, riot control, use of force, and everything, that sometimes, our communication skills is something that we need to find on. But I do recommend, and I did mention in one of my discussions, is that I feel that emotional programs during police academies, an actual assigned psychologist for the police academy to monitor the students, and also maybe the trainers as well too, but to help them cope, to help them transit from citizen to police officer with that correct emotional professional mentality that one needs to achieve to perform these duties, because this job is not easy. It is very challenging, and spiritual, mental, physical, every level you could possibly think of. And people, police officers, need to learn how to cope in healthy ways, create healthy boundaries, but also create healthy relationships with older, senior, seasonal officers. So that way, if they have issues that maybe they feel like maybe they need not a supervisor, but someone else they can talk to, feel a little bit more level that. And I would do that sometimes with some of my older officers, that I would allow them to take my place, in a sense where when it comes to a situation, now something would come up, hey, you know what, we need to tell Captain Martinez right now, and it would come up, did this happen? All right, no, Miss Cepeda told me that I needed to come forward with it. You know what, I'm very proud of you. And at the end, I would correct the situation. Of course, I would have to put something in writing, but because of their honesty, I would, majority of the times, would use my compromise tactic and would issue them just a letter of correction, and that was it. Not an official write-up per se, but at the same time, I would balance the levels. Do you understand what you did? Do you know what to do next time? Because if you do, I can help you. So all you have to do is ask. So that pretty much concludes my video. Thank you very much for listening. I hope I've been a very entertaining cast and a host. So either way, thank you very much, and be looking forward to seeing y'all's videos as well too. Take it easy. Bye.